Welcome to my abstract portrait painting workshop. I'm Joel Wright and I paint abstract portraits, amongst other things, but this is the abstract portrait that I'm working on right now. Before we get too far along, I want to clear some things up about abstract portraits and abstract portrait painting workshops. For every person that paints abstract portraits, say, there exists a unique definition as to what an abstract portrait is. In fact, that could be as unique as fingerprints. I mean, your abstract portrait should be completely unique to you because, you know, you're inventing things, you're imagining things, you're accenting things and emphasizing elements in your artwork that you choose. And you're not limited by realism. But abstraction takes something in reality and changes it, alters it. In my abstract portraits, I'm not just capturing likeness. That's not the goal. I'm interpreting the essence of my subject. This means my subjects can take on new forms and embody different emotions through the use of color, composition, or painting techniques. While there are elements of realism in my work, they are heavily abstracted to create a unique and expressive piece. It's important to understand that terms like abstraction or expressionism can sometimes be limiting. They offer a starting point but don't define the boundaries of creativity. In my process, I allow myself the freedom to explore beyond these labels, starting with abstraction and expressionism, but never being confined by them. So whether you're a fan of traditional realism or you're more drawn to the expressive power of abstract art, I encourage you to keep an open mind. Art is a personal journey, and every piece is a step towards discovering something new about the world and ourselves. So let's dive into the process and see how these principles come to life in an abstract portrait. Every post I see someone say, I painted this abstract portrait or landscape or whatever the case may be, there's someone saying, that's not an abstract portrait, that's not an abstract landscape. Okay, you know, I don't know if there's a committee that gets to decide what is and isn't abstract portraits, but I'm not a part of it and I don't acknowledge their judgment of what is and what isn't. In my opinion, this is an abstract portrait, and I'll be finishing this today. I've painted this in layers, and each layer gets progressively more complex, and I start with a creative brief, which I'm going to be sharing with you today. And this creative brief is a good system and structure to start a creative project with, because it gives you creative direction. And that's the main thing I want to share with you in this workshop. And there'll be a link below this video so that you can learn more about it, which I'll explain later. Before we get too far along, a little bit about my abstract portrait painting techniques is that I have trained in realism, and I apply that knowledge and skill set to abstraction. So I'm able to achieve things that a person that doesn't have that training may not be able to achieve. I think it's useful to learn both realistic painting and loosening up and abstract techniques and merging those together to create something completely new. Because realism can be limiting. You're just following the reference and you're recreating something that already exists. And extreme abstraction can be a little bit void of substance. And when you combine the two, it's like mixing peanut butter and jelly, chocolate and peanut butter. I can't think of any more right now, but you get the idea. It's a nice combination, and really cool things can happen. But it's helpful to have studied realistic techniques, or just, you know, your basic fundamentals of art. You know, knowing how to draw, knowing how to build up form, knowing a lot of the art principles, color theory, composition, all of these things still apply to abstract portrait painting. I see a lot of students that with realism that have a hard time loosening up, and then the students that have just complete reckless abandon and no problems loosening up sometimes lack the discipline and training that would inject their abstract portraits with so much more substance and interest. And that's why I teach this abstract portrait painting workshop with a combination of both elements of realism and abstraction to create something that you'll truly love. I've been painting for a long time. I don't know exactly how long because it's really been a lifelong thing, but where that becomes childlike playing around to professionalism is a little bit blurry, but I've tattooed professionally for almost 25 years at the time of this video. I started in 1999, 2000 area, and I've tattooed that entire time, and I've painted that entire time as well. But I started painting way before I started tattooing. So I have years of experience, and I want to share that with you in my abstract portrait painting workshops. In my art classes, I always see reoccurring obstacles in many different students of all experience levels. There's the most common is imposter syndrome, and that usually occurs almost immediately when someone sits down. The nervousness sets in. It's a combination of excitement and nervousness, and those are intertwined. But when the person sits down, they immediately start freaking out. And, I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist. I'm not, I'm not this. I'm not that. But I think that's just the jitters. Trying something new feels so uncertain. You're in uncertain territory, and finding some sort of foundation of confidence and security takes a little time and commitment, and I'm here to walk you through that. We will get past that together. It's no problem whatsoever. I see that most often. Completely opposed to that is someone that knows that they have an innate talent and ability and wants to cultivate that and is taking a workshop, but because they're so certain and convinced that they have this talent that's going to fill up the space and just immediately burst out, that they're unwilling to take direction or learn new things because they think they already know everything that they need to know, and they're not open to learning new things from a person. Let me tell you, there is no point that I've ever felt like I don't have something new to learn. We're all learning. Or we should be all learning new things all the time. In fact, I love learning new things, and I take other artist workshops. I can't wait to see other perspectives and approaches to doing things, and it makes me a better artist. And we all have something to learn from each other. I learn from students in my class because, every single perspective, it comes with its own conditioning and story and ways of seeing the world, that when they're confronted with these challenges of creating a painting, you see the light bulbs go off, and you see these new brain synapses being formed, and pathways and solutions to problems happen, and it's an amazing thing. And I never get tired of it. I never get bored of it. And I just want you to know that I'm committed to help you achieve your artistic goals. I've been known to inspire people. For some reason, have a never-ending resource of creative inspiration, and I want to share that with everyone. While this is an abstract portrait painting workshop, the video itself, you can't expect that you're going to learn everything you need to learn about painting abstract portraits in one 12-minute video roughly. I don't know exactly how long this video will be, but you get the idea. I can't fit it all into this one video, but the main goals of this video are to tell you the steps and the process of creating an abstract portrait painting, and that is in itself a workshop. And with the creative brief, you can make a lot of choices before you get started, so you're not trying to figure things out on the spot, because that creates a lot of backtracking. You know, you waste materials, you waste time, you go through periods of, you know, the dark night of the soul where you question everything and why am I even here, you know, fall off into nihilism and whatnot. But no, seriously, knowing, you know, making some decisions ahead of time helps you. And that's why I've created a system that's structured, that you get to get an overview of what you're trying to achieve before you start painting your main painting, your final painting. You might do some preliminary sketches and paintings that are going to help you unlock things in your final painting. But with any system or structure, it's there to help you get started. It's not a rigid rule set that you have to follow. So say you use this system to get started, and then you've got everything figured out. You do some preliminary sketches and paintings, and then you figure something new out that doesn't fit the template of your creative direction that you've defined in your creative brief. Well, screw it, you know, like, go in the new direction. If you've discovered something organically, the system was just there to help you get started. Though there are people that love systems like I do and stick with it generally, and that's fine too. You can stick with it as much as you want, and you can break free from it as much as you want, but you have to make some rules before you break them, basically. Though I will say the unstructured approach, where you just get a canvas and start painting, I have not found that to be super successful in my work. I'm not saying that there's someone out there that does that doesn't end up with great results, but not having some clear direction of where you want to go, I don't think that's, 9 times out of 10, that's probably not going to end up in a good place. Once again, you waste materials, time, and you start to question yourself. So why not have a system? At least somewhat of a system. I don't think it hurts anything. Now let's get into the abstract portrait painting process. Creating an abstract portrait is not just about the final painting. The pre-creative process is equally, if not more important. The journey of self-discovery allows you to try different things without worry or judgment. Take chances and not be attached to the outcome. Let me walk you through the key techniques and concepts that I teach in my workshops. This is the pre-creative process. We have a creative brief. Before starting, it's crucial to have a clear creative brief. This helps define the elements that will heavily influence the outcome and success of your work. I have a creative brief cheat sheet that you can print or use in Notion to make this process easier. So we begin with selecting composition references. You can choose to work from your own photos or models or other composition references, and this sets the foundation for your painting. Next, we're going to be defining the mood and the backstory. Decide on the mood of the painting and any backstory it might tell. This could be inspired by quotes, poems, archetypes or characters from plays, books, or movies. This could be someone from your memory. You could have had a weird dream and you want to illustrate this entity that appeared to you in your dreaming state. Then we're going to select color scheme, and you select a color scheme that supports the mood and the backstory. The right colors can evoke specific emotions and enhance the narrative of your painting. And then, based on your skill level, you can decide on the level of abstract versus realism. If you think about that as like a sliding scale, you determine how abstract you want to go and how much realism you will allow to remain in your abstract portrait. This balance is key to creating a compelling piece. So 100% abstraction would be so deconstructed you wouldn't even be able to tell it was a portrait. And if that's If that's the mood that you want to convey, then you're more than welcome to go that extreme into abstraction in my workshops. However, most people decide to have some recognizable traits of their portrait. So deciding how far you want to go with that is important. Decide on the painting methods, medium and substrate, you will use. These choices will significantly impact the texture and the overall feel of your artwork, and the way you paint it is going to be your signature style, and you'll find that within the workshop. So this creative brief, it sets the tone. It sets the tone and creative direction for your piece and how you're going to proceed forward in creating it. There's a link below this video where you can follow back to my website, and you put your name and email into the opt-in, and you'll be able to download the creative brief. That will put you on my weekly newsletter. I send out a weekly newsletter on Saturdays, and the newsletter is all about creativity, painting, anything that inspires me. YouTube videos or blog posts that I've created, you'll get notified about all of that. It really integrates you into the community that I'm creating. After defining your creative direction, it's time for preliminary sketches and experimentation. This phase is crucial for figuring out your creative direction without judgment. It's a time of trial and error where you can make changes to your creative brief as needed and experiment without feeling like you're failing or messing up your main project. You get to mess around, play, have fun, experiment, try new things, and see what works, what doesn't, and really put it to the test. But it's a judgment-free, safe space where you're not going to be, feeling like you're not an artist, or you're an imposter, or you can't do this. You're just playing around and seeing what happens. When you get some stuff you like, then you can start transferring that to your main painting. Once you have a clear creative direction, you can finalize your plans and begin the actual painting. In my 2-day online workshops, I demonstrate this process, and some participants choose to learn by watching while others try following along. In the 3-day in-person workshops, we all work together on our own pieces, and I provide hands-on guidance to help you overcome obstacles and build confidence. By following the system, you can carefully dial into a clear path to success with your abstract portraits. Remember, the key to is embrace the journey, experiment, and let your creativity flow. Alright, I wanted to make a shorter YouTube video, but I didn't have time. But I did get some progress done on this painting today. However, it's not finished. I thought I would finish it today, but I was wrong. It needs some more time. It'll change a lot as I progressively work new layers on top of the existing ones, and it changes a lot. You can lose some things that you're really attached to, but you can get back something new that you didn't know was going to happen. There's still a discovery process that happens in the final paintings, but I'm staying true to my reference. I'm sticking with it. And I've actually gone beyond the reference. So this is a situation where, I know this painting can be more than I even planned for. But once again, the creative direction was great to get me going and get those first few steps established where I can actually build on that, still discover new things in the process. So just to recap what we've covered today, the creative brief and the creative direction planning is something that I really believe in and I enjoy using, and I am wanting to share that with you. You can opt into my newsletter and you'll get the creative brief, and that's a downloadable, printable cheat sheet, or you can use Notion, whichever one you prefer.